Brad from American Millwork here. We're on site working on this accent wall, installing the Fortitude Wainscoting. So far, we've removed all the existing molding. We've installed the base and shoe. The next step is we are going to install a header piece and the vertical pieces. You're probably wondering what these blue pieces of tape are. If you watch one of our other videos when we put our base down, I showed you a tip on how to mark where your studs are. Basically just transfer those lines up. It makes it easy when we're installing these extra pieces that if we're going to hit a stud or not. All right, the first thing we're going to do is tape a couple of vertical pieces just to give us a reference point on where our header will sit on this wall system. So pretty straightforward. We're going to run a couple pieces of tape just to hold this in place. This end is going to go flush on the wall. Again, these are going to be temporary, so we will be taking these off. These do not need to be perfect, but we do want them flush on the top of this base molding so that we get the right height all the way across. So we're going to put one here, put one here in the middle. We'll do our third one here on the end, and this will cover the full span of our wall. And again, this is just giving us a reference point so we can put our header on. Just a reminder, in one of the other videos, we talked about making sure this base is level, and this is why. We're going to base everything on top of that, so now we don't have to worry about whether this top header piece is going to be level or not. All right, the next step, we're going to put our headers in. We've got the temporary vertical pieces in place just to give us a guide. So we're going to put the first one in. And again, we're using 2 kits because of the size of our wall. That's what's great about the Fortitude Wainscoting. Super flexible, fits multiple length walls or an entire room. So got that set in place. I'm going to temporarily tack one end on just so I've got a free hand, which is always helpful. And then just to check our work, we're going to throw a level on here. Again, critical to get your base leveled so you don't have to worry about the rest of the project. And this is dead on, so it looks great. We're going to go ahead and move. Again, I marked my stud locations with the pieces of blue tape. That makes it pretty easy. So we're just going to work our way down. I like to put one on top and one on bottom, and makes a nice tight fit along the wall. All right, so again, we're using 2 kits because of the size of this wall where we joined the base and the shoe. We're going to do the same thing with the header and the shelf edge. We are going to do a 45-degree miter, which we did before. You can butt join them the way these come in the box. If you just wanted to butt those together, a little bit of sand. By the time you stain it or paint it, you won't even see that joint. But we're going to miter it. We also added a little bit of wood glue on there just to help keep that joint nice and tight. So I'm going to line that up, nail that, and then we'll move on to the next step. All right, so that's it for the header piece. The next step, we're going to remove these temporary verticals, grab the nail gun and some construction adhesive, and get them permanently attached to the wall. We've laid out the vertical pieces of the Fortitude Wainscoting. Again, we're doing 2 units, which is going to give us 12 vertical pieces, all pre-cut, all ready to go. We use those as our spacers to put our header in. The other piece you'll get is you'll get 3 24-inch pieces per package of the horizontal pieces. And we've done the calculation. We're going to use an 8.5-inch spacing to keep these equally spaced throughout the length of the wall. So what we're going to do out now is we're going to go out on the miter saw and we'll cut these to size. All right, we've got all of our horizontal pieces cut to the length we discussed, and we're going to start laying out the vertical pieces. So we're gonna set these down. Let's get our first piece on. We're really fortunate that the framer did a great job on this house because we got a nice plumb wall. So if you didn't have a plumb wall, you could throw a level on it, double check, make sure everything looks perfectly straight up and down. Again, if you start off with the board in the right position, it's gonna make everything else a lot easier. So we switched over to 1¼ inch nails. Again, we're using an air nailer. You could use a cordless nailer. You could use brad nails and a hammer. Anything will work with the Fortitude Wainscoting. So let's go down here and we're gonna apply a little bit of construction adhesive. These pieces are pretty thin and we just wanna make sure that these stick to the wall. So we are going to throw a little bit of construction adhesive on here. Put this first piece on flush with the end of the wall. Get our nail gun. All right, so we've got our first piece on. Next step, we've cut these horizontal pieces, and these are great because these will eventually end up on the wall permanently, but in the meantime, we're going to use these as spacers to make sure everything is spaced out correctly. So we are going to put some more construction adhesive on this next piece. And so what we're going to do, we've got this first piece, we're going to go ahead and put this up against the corner and we're going to fit that in nice and snug, and everything is going to be square here. Again, I like to put one nail just to hold this in place. And what you're going to do is you're going to take this same piece, even though we only got one piece running across horizontally, in order to make sure this is plumb, we're going to use this down at the bottom. And that way we've got an equal space along the whole vertical piece. So let's finish tacking this in. And we're just going to continue along the line. We're going to add construction adhesive to each piece, pin nail them in place, and then we'll be ready for the next step. Vertical pieces are in. On the next video, we'll show you how to do the horizontal cross members and the top shelf edge.